Heads up, everyone, that we are now going live on YouTube. Good afternoon. I am Jessica Carroll, the Interim Program Manager for Measure 110, and I'll be assisting Blue Valentine with facilitation for today's meeting. The Oversight and Accountability Council welcomes and encourages community input. Members of the public are invited to submit public comments or get on our interested parties email list by emailing oha.measure110@odhsoha.oregon.gov. That email address and more information about the council can be found on the Measure 110 OAC website. For more information on support with community engagement, please contact Sydney McConnell. She will drop her email in the chat. OAC members have asked that OHA and other staff who are present in the meeting space introduce themselves in the chat. Please share your role with the agency, and if you're a subject matter expert, your area of expertise. All right, welcome everybody. And with that, I'm gonna throw it over to Blue Valentine, our tri-chair.
Thanks, Jessica. So we've got some OHA updates in the meeting today. And I think first we're going to turn it over to Sydney for attendance, and then we can move on to the updates.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you. When I say your name, if you could please say here, we'd really appreciate it. Amy.
I'm here.
Hi, Amy. Blue.
Here.
Hi, Blue. Carlos, I don't think has made it. Caroline.
Here.
Hi, Caroline. Dharma.
Here.
Hi, Dharma. Henry.
Here.
Hi, Henry. Hubert.
Here.
Hi, Hubert. Keisha.
Here.
Hi, Keisha. Leticia is not here today. Melinda.
I'm here.
Hi, Melinda. Morgan.
Here.
Hi, Morgan. Nicole.
Here.
Hi, Nicole. Onisha.
Here.
Hi, Onisha. Ron.
Ron's here.
Hi, Ron. Sabrina. Sabrina, you there? I'll come back to Sabrina. Zeb. Zeb, are you there? Sabrina, are you there? Okay, without either of them in the chat or vocalizing that they're here, we have 12.
All right, so we have Steve who is coming. That will give us 13. And then when we can have Sabrina and Zeb. Zeb just texted me that he's here, but I think he needs to put it in the chat. Yeah, so let me just indicate that to him. 1 second.
And Steve just joined. Hi, Steve.
Is that on the phone?
Yes.
He's on the phone. He's driving in his truck, and it's hard for him to unmute himself. And Sabrina. All right, so I think what we can do right now is we can just go ahead and get started with OHA updates. And once we get Sabrina and Zeb with us and attesting to that in the chat, we can go ahead and get started with the rest of the agenda. Oh, Sabrina. Hi, Sabrina. Welcome back. All right. Okay, so let me just go ahead and talk about the couple of OHA updates that we have for you, and then we'll see where we're at after that. All right, so the council training that is happening in person in Salem is all of those details are coming out very soon. Those of you who have submitted photos for your badge, we have submitted those where they need to go, and we're just waiting on approval. So watch your inboxes, because there's going to be a lot of really exciting, great information. And it'll be really cool for us to all be in the same room, right? Yeah, everybody's excited for that. Maybe I'm overly excited for that. Well, me and Sabrina are on the same wave there. Okay. Very, yeah, Hubert. Yeah, okay. No, it's
Can
gonna be
you
great.
restate the date and time for all that?
Yes, as a matter of fact. It is on, I have to look at my calendar.
November 10th.
Thank you. At what time, Kathy?
We will have a sign in beginning at 9:30 in the morning, and you will be able to get parking passes from us.
Yeah, all of that will be in the email.
Has an invite gone out
Not yet.
and the location?
We did send the date and the location previously when y'all filled out that form, but that's the only information that we sent so far.
What
It's
day
at
was
the-
it again?
It is November 10th. Sign in is at 9:30. And it'll be at the DHS Barbara Roberts building in Salem. And all of that information should come out to you soon.
Thank you. I'll put in that request on my end. Thank you.
All right, any other questions about that? There's an email forthcoming. If you have questions, feel free to shoot them back to that email. We will get those answers to you. And I just want to let you know that Carlos is here, so we do have quorum. So that's really exciting. All right, the other update that I have is, so I think we have an update on the OAC application, right? There's some vacant seats. And so we did finally get that translated into Spanish. There was a big backlog there because of all of the things that are currently being translated. We did get that translated into Spanish. We will be posting that on our website. We will be sending it out to our interested parties email list. We will give it to other departments to send out to their listservs. We will send it to you all so you can distribute it far and wide. And so really excited to get some new members through that application process. Oh, okay. I will continue. No questions? Okay. Moving on. We do have an update for you all. The Alano Club dropped out of the Yamhill County burn. This is that situation that you all voted on if an organization wants to drop out, right? And it doesn't create a hole in services, then you all voted to allow that to happen. So we are currently engaged with them to allow them to not provide services in Yamhill County. All right, so those are our OHA updates. I would like to throw the MC duties back over to Blue to go over to welcome us again and maybe go over the agenda.
Thanks, Jessica. So welcome, everybody. So today we've got a couple presentations that we're going to have. The first is with Adventist Health Tillamook, and we're also going to have a presentation on grant corrections from Kristen, as well as some further discussion and votes on the Measure 110 inbox protocol. And all of these will actually need votes. And I do agree. I think it should be super clear in the agenda. People should maybe assume we're always voting, but just to make it extra clear, I think we could definitely add that moving forward. So with that, I guess I will turn it over to Adventist. I'm not sure if Kristen is also speaking on this one at all or not, but whoever's turn it is.
Thanks, Blue. And hello, everyone. My name is Christine Buckner. I work for the Urban Health Authority, and I'm here to introduce Nicole Vertner with Adventist Health, whose organization has a request to amend their grant agreement. Welcome, Nicole.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me today, and thank you for all the work that everybody is doing for the Measure 110 and the grants. So I guess our request on the amendment is that we would like the consideration to remove peer support, comprehensive behavioral health, and planning services from the list of provided services by Adventist Health. When we reduced the budget, we reduced all of our FTEs. And as a burn, we all work together to share the services. So like peer support, we were originally going to hire somebody to come in and do that, but we left all peer support with Tillamook Family Counseling Center. And then some of the other FTEs we removed because there's been like LCSW positions open in our community for over a year that has gone unfilled. So instead of pulling resources from each burn partner to try to fill those, we removed it when we had our budget reduction to meet our allocation for the county. So we worked together. We thought that we had that all cleared up, but we were not clear enough when we submitted those budget changes. We said that we removed all FTEs, but we weren't aware of the matrix to remove those items that we had removed from our budget. So I guess that is our request.
You went through that pretty fast. Can you say what those positions are again?
Yes, so we're requesting to remove peer support, comprehensive behavioral health, and planning services. So we'll still be doing screening and SUD services. And those 3 areas are covered by other partners.
Sabrina?
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that I understand this correctly. The reason why you're removing those services is because actually when it came down to the negotiation period, even though you were approved initially at the funding when you had to negotiate your budget, you didn't have enough to cover for those? I don't know if that would be a proper question for you, Nicole, and or Kristen.
I can answer that. When we reduced our budget, we reduced just Adventist Health portion by 72%. So we no longer had the funding to cover those positions.
But other burn partners that you already have MOUs with do have the capacity to cover that.
Correct. We worked together as a team to make sure every area was covered. And so instead of all of us having duplicative services, we divided it up so that each burn partner had a primary service that they were providing, and then we were sharing it among the county.
Okay, thank you.
Ron?
I think that actually answered my question.
Okay, I see Keisha is next.
It was saying, yeah, so, if I heard correctly, did she say that you're removing the peer services part? First question.
Correct. We've requested remove your services because we have all those positions with another organization in the county.
So I'm just it's like what you put out. Yeah, I'm a little cautious about removing peer services. They should be at the entry point of every service that's provided, and they can do screenings. They can't do assessments, but they can do screenings. And I'm just wondering why peer services would be the first to go.
So Keisha, there's a lot of background noise. If you could just mute when you're not talking. And
I did. Thank you.
Okay. And I just wanted to ask because I think you're just asking to have that checkbox removed from the matrix because you've already removed that service and another burn provider is covering that service. So we still have that service in that burn. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay. Keisha, did that help at all or no?
No, that's not what I asked, but
Okay.
no. I'm just asking why they wouldn't still be doing screenings and still be a part of their service element, because they should be at the forefront of every service element.
I agree with that statement. Peers was a very high priority. So our partner that requested additional peers for the county, we did not amend their budget at all. They did not have a change in their budget when we had to go back and reduce. We had some concerns in our county because we had already had a peer support position open for over a year that had been unfilled, that if multiple of us were asking for peers, we'd end up pulling the peers from the organization that they were already working in and well established with a large clientele to other facilities to try to fill that hole, but then not be able to focus on bringing in new peers and training people with lived experience in our community. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't creating competition where it was unnecessary so that we could focus on serving people and getting the additional trained staff ready to go.
Okay, I see Henry and then Onisha.
Hi, Nicole. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you making that a clear statement. I think having worked in a lot of rural areas of Oregon, I can say that there is not always enough staff to go around to all the different agencies. And we end up kind of, cannibalizing each other if we try to all provide the same services. So I appreciate that you're wanting to focus on what you can do. So it sounds like you still are going to be providing the opportunity for screenings and assessments. Can you tell me who would be providing that if not a peer person?
So unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, there's only one organization that's open 24/7, 365, and that's the hospital emergency room, which I think many people can agree that's not the first place people want to go to be screened. But so our RNs, MDs will be the primary screeners when people come in there. We do have a really large support group, and our plan is to, with the increase of peers, to share that peer support services in the hospital. So as soon as we can get people hired, since we are the only spot that's actually open 24/7, that nighttime peer would be located at the hospital. So that's our growth strategy, but for now, our RNs and MDs would be doing the screening.
So just to be clear about that, Nicole, the peer person that would be located in the hospital in the evening or at night, would that be a person that is paid for by Adventist, or are you going to be collaborating with another organization that is paying for that person?
That's part of our burn collaboration agreement. So Tillamook Family Counseling Center houses all of our peers, including the Prime Plus program. So they will be the ones who provide that peer to the county.
So there will be a peer. The idea is that there will be a peer that is physically located at the hospital at night. They simply will not be being paid by Adventist.
Correct.
Thank you.
Onisha?
Yeah, so I'm just reflecting, just to make sure I understand. So they're asking that they don't want to hire a peer anymore. So the funding that they were going to use to hire a peer at Adventist, what are they going to use that funding for now? I missed that part. Are they giving the money back, or are they asking to use it for something else?
Thank you for that clarification. We actually cut that funding before this agreement went through. It just wasn't changed on the matrix. So like I said, we cut 72% of our requested budget, which ended up being our FTEs. So there was some confusion on updating the matrix when the grant agreement went through.
So if the funding was already cut, then I'm confused. So if the funding was already cut and we weren't paying you guys to do Measure 110 didn't agree to pay for peer support services, then it wasn't in the budget, then I'm not sure about why you're here. If we didn't already give you money for the services, I'm not sure why you're here. I'm confused.
In our original request, we put in funding for peer support and LCSW CADC. And we were fully approved for that request. However, our county as a whole asked for a lot more funding than what was approved for the allotment. So all of us had to go back and make cuts. And with those cuts, we ended up making sure we didn't have duplicative services. So we removed the peer from our request and left it in Tillamook Family Counseling Center. But when we removed those funding or that amount for those positions, it didn't get updated on the matrix. So then it still came across on our grant agreement that we were going to provide peer services, but we did not have funding for it at the time.
So you guys made a like a negotiation of the contract with OHA staff you agreed to cut the peers to fit the overall budget of the entire county, and OHA staff at that time agreed to allow you guys to cut the peer mentor services. Is that accurate?
So I don't think that we had that much communication. We were asked to modify our budget and submit it, and then just leave a brief narrative. And so we did. We submitted the budget with the narrative of all the changes that each organization made. But at that time, we didn't have a copy of the matrix, nor did we know that that needed to be updated. So we didn't submit an updated matrix. So that was the total of our communication as a county with the OHA staff at the time when, I mean, because everybody was trying to get their stuff approved. So it went very fast. So I think there was just that communication barrier of we cut all FTEs, 72% of our budget. Here's what we're asking for, but just that matrix didn't get updated.
So I guess I just want to make this real clear because I'm getting more confused. The more you explain it, I'm totally not blaming you for that. So basically, you do have money in your budget for peer mentor services right now, or you don't?
We do not.
Okay. So you already kind of made an agreement with OHA staff that you were going to cut the peer services. So what exactly are you needing from us, just to let us know that? Or were you asking for changes to be made to the budget? Or that's the part I guess I'm unclear about.
So we're just asking for an amendment to the grant agreement to remove the X check marks off of peer support, comprehensive behavioral health, and planning services. Because when we negotiated the budget, we cut those positions, and it was on our understanding that we would not be providing those. But then after the grant agreements came out, it was on there. So we just needed to make sure that we weren't held accountable to that because we don't have the resources to provide those services.
And it sounds like OHA already gave you guys permission to cut those services before you even presented that here today. That's what it sounded like to me.
We didn't have communication over that. They just asked for our changed budget and a narrative of what that was. And it was.
And when you submitted the change budget include deleting the peer recovery services, correct?
Correct.
So and they approved that and gave you the funding. So they pretty much already approved it, you guys.
We haven't, this is John. I'm sorry to step in. We haven't approved anything. We're bringing this information. We asked the contractor to bring the information to you guys for approval. It was only submitted to us, and when we saw it, it has to be brought back to you for approval.
Can I real quick see if I
But
can?
they have the money, correct? You've already funded them?
Can I just explain? Because I think I can get at what Keisha's asking, or I'm sorry, what Onisha's asking here. Onisha, are you okay if I try to help this?
Sure.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, right, what happened was the folks in Tillamook got together and they submitted their applications, right? And when they submitted their applications, you all chose, okay, we like Adventist Health, we want them to provide these 3 services. right? Then when we got together and we looked at all of the budgets, Tillamook was way over budget, okay? And so the way that I'm hearing from Nicole, and Nicole, please correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing from Nicole is when they got together to get at that budget amount, what they did was they said, okay, one way we can do that is if we are not duplicating services, if our organizations are not duplicating services. So, hey, other organization, if you're providing peer support, we are not going to provide peer support. That way we can get rid of that part of our budget. That sounds like what they did to negotiate. Nicole, am I correct on that?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, so then that was in a package brought to you all, right? And it was given to you in a PowerPoint. We said, this is the organization that's going to do this, this, and this. And it sounds like what happened was there was a typo and there were two things still left in the matrix for Adventists to do. So when they received their grant agreement, they said, hold on, this isn't right. In order for us to amend that grant agreement, we have to come to you and ask you if you will amend it. So that's what's happening. Does that make more sense?
Onisha, did you have any follow-up?
So basically it sounds like the way Jessica explained it is kind of like I'm understanding it, that OHA and this organization already made their decision. But when they gave them the paperwork back, there was still a typo with the little X under peer services. But if they already gave them the money, if they asked them, Blue, what I'm trying to say is if they asked them, we need to do an amendment on your budget. And they said, well, in order to amend our budget with the entire county and give you guys an amount that's going to be livable for everybody, we have to drop our peer services. So they agreed to that when they gave them the money. So they gave them the money and now they're coming back to us, but they already made the decision because they gave them the money. They're just saying when you guys gave us the paperwork back, you forgot to take the X off.
But you all, we forgot to take the X off when we presented it to you all, gave them the money, right? Like you all approved it. We are just going back to clean up an error on the grant agreement. This is
okay. So I think that's the way it should have been presented, because the way it's being presented now is as if she's trying to ask for an amended budget and an amendment of services as a whole new presentation. But this is something that has already been approved, correct? It was just a mistake on the paperwork.
essentially, yes, this is a mistake on the paperwork. And I apologize. I know it is confusing. We try to bring you all a visual representation that makes it a little easier, and that just did not happen this time. And so I want to acknowledge that too, that it is a little confusing. So it is exactly what you approved. However, when you approved it on that matrix, the matrix that you all approved, it said that they were going to offer these two things that in actuality, it was a clerical error on our part.
And that's the part that's not confusing to me at all. You see what I'm saying? If you guys present it like that, say, hey, she's not asking for a change to be made to her program or a change to be made to her budget. She just needs you guys to agree to remove this clerical error on our part. That's a whole different ballgame than presenting something. Because then now you're going to have the whole OAC council get into argument or debate about whether they should remove peer services when it sounds like we've already made that decision.
Absolutely. I could not agree more, Onisha, and we are going to be more mindful of the way that we bring these to you and the way that we support the organizations when they come in and ask you questions. We understand that type of representation and keeping it consistent with the way we have represented and brought things to you in the past is very helpful. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, thank you. It's definitely been confusing today. So I have Ron is up next. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I want to thank Nicole for coming. I want to thank Jessica for her kind of capsule, putting everything in a capsule that makes it really understandable. I want to thank Onisha for her inquiries. It was very helpful to hear her perspective. And And I guess my question is going forward, I think if people are clear, do we need Adventists here in order for our deliberations to take place?
I don't think they need to be here, but we do need to make sure nobody else has any more questions.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. So Sabrina, did you have a question? For
No,
Adventists?
I just wanted to thank, was it Nicole, for coming and being in the seat and clarifying everything for us. And then also for Anisha for helping get more clarity. And when everybody's done, I'm ready for a motion as well.
Okay, so okay, so does anyone have anything further to discuss with Adventist, or are we good to have them in a waiting room? Jessica, is that okay?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Nicole,
Or
thank,
just-
yeah, Nicole can just, thank you, Nicole. You can watch the rest on YouTube, I guess. Bye.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. All right, so I'm just gonna open it up if folks have other things to discuss before making a motion or a vote. Sabrina?
Yeah, I would just like, if we're at a good place, put a motion on the table to amend, I cannot pronounce it, Adventist, and make the amendments with the clerical error as needed.
Second.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay. So I just want to get clarification really quickly that it wasn't that we voted and we thought the council technically thought they were funding peer services by this organization because it was mistakenly checked. Right, but okay, and that's got it. Okay, just want to double check on that. Okay, Caroline.
I thought we voted in the past that we gave authority to the Oregon Health Authority to make decisions like this. I'm really getting concerned about us micromanaging to this degree. I mean, this makes me feel very uncomfortable and us spending hours on little things like this, when if this was Oregon Health Authority's error, they should have had the authority to just amend that because it wasn't really changing anything. And so I mean, we're already being scrutinized by the media. And I don't want to be perceived like we're a bunch of micromanagers. I mean, I think this is totally, in my opinion, very unprofessional. So we gave the authority to OHA, and we need to let this type of stuff go and let them correct that agreement, because I don't think this is such a major thing that we have to spend a half hour on this because of misunderstanding. And so I just want to go on record with that because it's very frustrating. It's a statement. I don't need any comments.
Thank you, Caroline. Shannon, I see your hand.
Yeah, Caroline, thanks for that. But just a matter of clarification, OAC has not delegated authority to the Oregon Health Authority to amend grant agreements.
So what did we vote on about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Dan, in turning over some of the authority back to OHA? What was that then?
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. This is Shannon again. So that was authority. So the OAC has delegated authority to approve certain budget adjustments, within a certain range. And what's the second one? And to consent to terminate a grant agreement if somebody's leaving a burn and there's no, there's no sort of holes in the burn, there's somebody else to provide those services. And if I'm getting that wrong, somebody else can jump in.
Onisha, I see your hand.
Yeah, I just want to say I think this is a no-brainer. We're not making any new decisions here. We're just agreeing to help the lady take the X off of her paperwork over a clerical or error. And I believe a motion was made and seconded, and I think we should just vote.
Okay, and I saw Henry took his hand down. So Sydney, can you go ahead and take a vote, please?
Yeah, can I get Sabrina to restate the motion one more time, please? Sorry, Sabrina, I just want to make sure I got it correctly.
Okay, yeah, I just have a problem with pronouncing Adventist.
That's
I would
okay.
like to put a motion on the table that we amend the proposal by Adventist to fix the clerical error on their behalf.
Okay, thank you so much. And that was seconded by Melinda earlier. Amy, how do you vote?
Yes.
It was seconded by Dharma.
I was gonna say that wasn't seconded by me.
There were like 3 at the same time, so I apologize. Okay, Amy,
I still
say
vote yes.
Blue,
Yes.
thanks, Blue. Carlos,
Yes.
thanks, Carlos. Caroline,
Yes.
thanks, Caroline. Dharma,
Yes.
thanks, Dharma. Henry,
Yes.
thank you, Henry. Hubert,
Yes.
thank you, Hubert. Keisha,
Yes.
thanks, Keisha. Melinda,
Yes.
thanks, Melinda. Morgan,
Yes.
thanks, Morgan. Nicole, Nicole, are you there? I'll come back to Nicole. Onisha,
Yes.
thanks, Onisha. Ron,
Yes.
thanks, Ron. Sabrina,
Yes.
thanks, Sabrina. Zeb,
Yes.
thanks, Zeb. And then just circling back to Nicole. All right, so that passes with 14 yes votes. Back to you, Blue.
Thank you, Sydney. Okay, so now we're gonna have Jessica talk about the Measure 110 inbox protocol.
Hey, hello, how are you? All right, we're gonna get through these next slides. So just to give you a little information about this, we have been working collaboratively with the tri-chairs on a inbox protocol for you all to consider and vote on that we have. I just want to upfront say that it's pretty complex. I think the tri-chairs would agree with me. It takes several steps to kind of figure this out. So we did our best to make this as simple and understandable as possible. And I'm going to go real slow and answer any questions that you have along the way. So hopefully we can, our attempt at making this clear is successful. Can I get the slides? Sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So the inbox protocol discussion, it's a catchy title. Can I get the next slide? All right. So this is the kind of the scope of today's discussion. So what we're going to talk about is how the OAC, you all, will routinely receive copies of the Measure 110 inbox emails. Okay. That is all we're going to talk about today, because this is a lot of decisions and it's pretty complex. So with the tri-chairs, we have agreed to bring this in 2 chunks, right? So today we're going to talk about how you all will receive the inbox emails. And then at a future meeting, we're going to talk about how you all will respond, right? Because they're 2 separate questions, but they're about the same subject. So, and additionally, just a caveat that any emergency emails may be handled outside of the routine schedule. Emergency emails being anything that requires like a mandatory report, right? We can't wait for, folks to, vote on anything or have a discussion. That's something that like we as folks who handle that inbox, we're mandatory reporters and we would need to do that. That isn't the only foreseeable emergency email, but that's the only one I can think of right now. Next slide, please. All right, so we can categorize the emails that come into the Measure 110 inbox in 4 categories, right? We have the routine emails. This is, hey, I need a link to the website. Can you add me to the interested parties list? And those kind of routine emails. So that is one category. The second category that we may start getting into the Measure 110 inbox, we have not yet, are requests for technical assistance from grantees. We do have an inbox for those kinds of grant related emails, people to turn in like their certificates of insurance. That's a different email, but sometimes folks get confused, and so they send stuff that's meant for the grants inbox to the Measure 110 inbox. So that is one example. Comments about grantees or grant administration. So these might come in the form of complaints, right? That come in about Bird Partners or grant administrators or OHA or OAC. Those also happen. So I guess I kind of conflated that. So let's just talk about the grantees and grant administration right now. So that's another kind of category. The third category is what I just said. So I think you all have seen these before because these continue to come through the inbox, and they have since probably its inception, I'm assuming. Suggestions about policy direction, comments about OHA or OIC, comments about Measure 110, the law, comments about all kinds of stuff, right? And then we have the emails that are unrelated to Measure 110. Sometimes people find an email address and they just need to find somebody to answer their question. And so they just start emailing email addresses. And sometimes that happens as well. So these are the types of emails that we're talking about today. Those are generally what comes into the email inbox. Or I think that encapsulates everything that comes into the email inbox. Next, please. Are there any questions so far? Just want to give some space for that. All right. So these are your decision points, okay? OHA can compile the emails for the OAC based on the OAC's decision on. So these are the and we're going to talk these through. So, but this is just like a preview. Who is going to receive the emails? How often they want to receive the emails? Will they receive a summary or the full text of emails? And we'll get into all of this. And for what categories of emails will be included. Okay. And we use an example here. OAC, the tri-chairs will receive a monthly summary of all Measure 110 related emails. That's just an example of where we hope to get to by the end of this conversation. Keisha, I see your hand.
So real quick, I don't know if I missed it, but did you tell them how they would receive the emails through the state email?
Well, we're getting there. We got to get through the first couple first, and then we'll get both.
Right. Yeah, I think that's very important on decision making, because they'll know, well, if I have to go to my state email, maybe I want to tone it down. So it's a very important part.
Yeah, absolutely. And we definitely talk through that in a further slide. We kind of go through everything first, and then we come back and go through everything to ask for a vote. And
oh, got you. I apologize. I thought this was the last slide.
Oh, no apologies, Nina, Keisha. I get it. Sometimes I forget stuff, and I love it when people remind me. So, and I mean that in all sincerity. Next slide, please. Okay, so who is going to receive it, right? You have a couple options here, right? You can choose for tri-chairs to receive the email communications, or you can choose that you all want to receive the email communications, right? So that's going to be kind of our first decision point. Okay. The next question that we're going to tackle is how often will you receive it, right? Or the whoever is going to receive it. So we have quarterly or monthly options. We're sticking to quarterly and monthly because there is a preparation that's going to go into this. And so we're trying to balance, the need to know and our bandwidth on our team. Next slide, please. Will they receive a summary or full text of emails? Okay, so here's where we kind of get into that stuff that Keisha was talking about. So, and I just want full transparency. Like, our guidance to you all is a summary of emails, right? We believe that is the best balance. That would be OHA's guidance to you, is that we think a summary of emails balances the need to know with kind of some of the stuff that was emailed to you, the considerations that were emailed to you in your inbox about some of the privacy and other considerations that need to be kept in mind when reading emails of this sort. So the summary is lists of the type and nature of the emails received, but does not identify any person or organization. It still does allow OAC members to request full text of emails if they choose, right? This is, and this can be done either monthly or quarterly, right? And it can be given to the tri-chairs or the full council. Next option is OAC members, or is full text of emails. So it would just be, we're sending you a PDF document and there are all of the emails are in there. And the OAC members then must comply with all applicable laws for protecting and storing confidential protected information. You all will receive those at your state email address only, which we are getting online at our training. That is our goal, is to get those all online for you at the training so that you have access to that. Again, all of the considerations that were emailed to you in an email that you received last night. And I see some hands. So Sabrina.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I understand. Is it the top bullet and the bottom bullet, or is it one or the other? So like if we get a summary of emails, regardless, is all of it going to have to go through our state email, or is it if we receive the full text emails that it's going to go to our government email? And then I also wanted to know what was going to happen to the information, who was going to do what with the information that isn't, like, just say it's a summary of email, what's going to happen to the rest of the information? And then what if it's about an organization like that's out of compliance or not doing what it's supposed to? Will you guys bring it to the OAC? Anyways, I can ask that a second question later. I apologize, but I just wanted to know, is it one or the other, summary or full text? And does both of them have to go to the government email?
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So it is one or the other, right? However, if you notice in your first option there, you do have the option of asking for the full text of the emails, right? So the first one doesn't preclude you. It doesn't mean that you can't have the full text. It's just, we're not leading with that. Second, sorry, I was just making sure I didn't say something wrong. Second, your second question was, so a best practice is always to have everything OAC related sent to your state email. However, I mean, these are this does, let me just say, the first one does not have the same requirement. The second one does. Second one has a requirement in bold. Blue, I saw you had your hand up. Okay.
Yeah, so if any person is receiving the summary, it can be received in any email, but that bottom bullet that allows OAC members to request full text, those would still have to be received through the state email. And the second option, everything has to go through the state email.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, due to the sensitivity of the information, yes.
Okay.
All right. And there's like there's public records laws that you have to think about. And so if they're going to your state email address, then that's kind of covered. So, yeah.
Sabrina, I know you said you had a follow-up question. Was that answered?
Yeah, I was just wondering, so just say if we're getting a summary of email, or just say it's a specific complaint about an organization, when would we receive that if we're just voting on the summary of emails? I know you said, Jessica said we can ask for full text emails, so I kind of just assumed that answered that. Is that correct, Jessica?
So yes, you can request the full text of emails, and additionally, so today what we're because there's so many questions and votes here. Today, what we're focusing on is how it will be received, and the next meeting we'll talk about what we do with it.
Okay,
right?
that's totally appropriate. And I did hear you say that. So I'll save my question for the next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I see Onisha's hand and Keisha's hand, but Jessica, I just wanted to check if you feel like there's more information that needs to be discussed, or if we can keep doing some questions right now.
Oh, I think we can absolutely keep doing some questions.
Okay, great.
Because we're gonna, we summarize it all again. We go through it all again.
Okay, so Onisha, go ahead.
I'm just curious whether we do a summary or whether we do the full text. Is it safer, more ethical, or more professional to use our state email addresses for this work anyway?
I do not disagree with that, Onisha. Yeah.
Keisha?
Yeah, kind of along those lines, probably just everything going to the state email, because also if you do your business on your personal email for the OAC, there could be a public records request for your personal email content.
No, that is a great point. And I know I've been asking for access to the state email for a while. So I think regardless of how we vote on this too, we should hopefully be able to switch to our state email soon.
Absolutely. And we're going to ask everyone to bring all your equipment into the building when we do the training. Therefore, everybody's going to be in the building where you can get your equipment turned on. For those of you who don't have it, we're going to have somebody there who can help you with all your troubleshooting. So that is going to happen.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Ron, I see your hand.
I was just gonna circle back to the idea of the state email being optional, that you can choose it. It shouldn't be mandatory. Or is it mandatory in order to receive these emails?
So I don't think it's state email is definitely best practice. I don't think we can call it mandatory. Like I can't tell you what to do. However, it is highly encouraged. And what we're saying is that we're going to send the full text of emails with all of the identifying information that is going to have to go to your state email. Just because there's, we have to protect that. And there's a significant firewall there. So. All right. Any other questions? Ron, is your hand still up, or did you have another question? Okay, that answered my question. All right, next slide, please. All right, so the following, the last decision that you all are going to make is what categories of emails would you want to be included? Whether it's in a report or you are getting the full text of everything. For example, routine emails. Do you want to know how many people needed the link for is there any value added there for you? Maybe. Do you want to see all the emails where people ask for a link or to add to the interested parties email list? I don't know. There are also the grant related emails. There are all the Measure 110 related emails again. And there are the unrelated emails. Okay, so I think that brings us to our votes. Am I correct, Sydney? Okay, yeah. So, Amy.
Can you go back can you go back to that other slide for a sec? So, I've had a few people in the community talk to me about policy direction and comments about OHA and the committee's work. So I think I don't, do we have to choose one of these or can we have all of these?
You can have one, all, or any subset thereof.
Okay. I don't think it matters about unrelated to ballot measure 110. I don't really want to get into all the unrelated stuff, but I feel that it's important that the people that are out there doing the groundwork and the people that are out there having to put boots to pavement to do this, get this stuff going, I think that their concerns need to be heard. So for me, I only hear a small portion of the people that I'm in contact with and the people that seek me out to talk to me about things or ask me questions. And I think it would be important that we hear that we see what's actually being emailed, because there's going to come a time where they're going to try and vote legislature or whatever to mess with what has barely started going. And we need to be prepared and aware and awake and value these opinions and value these voices of the people that are boot to pavement.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
And then Jessica, did you have a slide that was gonna sort of take us through each of those pieces to vote?
Yeah, so that's the next slide. So we have some proposed motions here. And again, one is who will receive it. The next one is when they'll receive it. The third one is what will be received, or what will the information consist of? And then the fourth is what categories will be included. So I think if you all want to start, with the first one, then we can make our way through, if that makes sense, if that's agreeable to you, Blue.
Sure. So I just, to be clear, are we looking right now for motions or for discussion? Or either? We can just, okay, well, I see some hands. So Keisha, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we clarify, even if we receive the full emails about what we can't discuss and bring back to the larger group, or like being very cautious about talking to anybody about the information that's in those emails.
That's definitely important. And I think, Jessica, was something sent out about that to the full council?
Yes, you all
Okay.
received an email regarding that. Yep.
Okay. Keisha, did you have any follow-up questions or comments?
Just making sure the information gets to those who might not read their emails.
Perfect, thank you. Amy is next.
So I was just going to make a motion that all OAC members will receive the information. The emails.
I will second that. And then I guess, I'm not sure, I see Onisha and Sabrina's hands up, and I'm not sure if their hands up are related to the first motion or if we should move forward
I was
on that.
just going to say, Blue, maybe to make it less complicated, can we just say number one is the first motion, read it, let anybody have discussion if they have discussion, and then vote, and just like go down the list.
Okay.
Yeah, my point was a kind of piggy-tailing off of what Keisha said. I know that we received those emails talking about what's, I don't know if it's appropriate to say it out loud as well before we somebody, I don't know who that person would be, Jessica, but before we actually start voting, so we know the ramifications of what we're getting ourselves into. I know that I checked mine and I knew it was in there because I'm a tri-chair, but if you weren't like consciously looking at it or before the meeting there, I just think it'd be better to get it out of the way.
Can I respond?
Yeah,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Thank
Please
you.
do.
Yeah, thank you. So I think what is going to be best here is if we just give folks, so just an FYI, this is the information that you received is advice from the Department of Justice, which is attorney-client privileged information. Therefore, I can't read it, which is why it was sent instead of just put on a slide. So I think what might be helpful is if we just give everyone 3 minutes to go into their email and read that. If they want to before we vote, I think that might be helpful. But again, this is your all's meeting. That's just my idea.
Is everybody okay? Just letting the council members check their email for a couple of minutes. I do see some hands, but if it's okay if we just take a couple minutes. I see. Keisha in the chat. Okay. Well, then we'll just hang out for a second and let people take a look at that.
Blue, would it be okay if I answered the question, or should we just wait? We should maybe wait.
I have a question too, Jessica.
Yeah, I see some hands, so I think we can go ahead and Amy, I have Amy and then Onisha and then Henry. And maybe if people are checking their email, they can just do that instead of listening to the questions. But yeah, go ahead, Amy.
I feel I like the idea of, don't we have the option of doing those executive sessions to discuss how we feel about the emails, or what we could do an executive session once a month to discuss the emails content that we receive, and that way it can be HIPAA compliant that way, or whatever, legally compliant that way.
So I see Allison's hand and Jessica's hand. I don't know.
I'm gonna let Allison take
Okay. All right.
Okay. I just wanted to address the question about executive session. So under statute, executive session can only be used for some very limited purposes. And so, for example, we could talk about issues having to do with, potentially pending litigation or to receive legal advice. So we would have to make sure that the purpose of the meetings is related to one of those legally permissible areas.
Do we have other options, Allison, for us to, like, if we have concerns, or we read concerns or things that are important to us in these emails, do we have other avenues that we would all be able to meet and discuss them?
So,
Allison, can I take this?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to let you know, Amy, these are great questions, and we will bring this part of it to you next week. Right now, we're focusing on No, it's okay. I know it's because it's works in the same vein, right? So it's natural to ask those questions. We're just trying to keep it to this because once we know what this is, then we're going to craft your all of your a proposal for you all based on the second part. Okay.
Okay, and then just one last quick question. Because I could make a motion that would cover all this, or we can break it down and do it 1, 2, 3, like that. But I just didn't know how y'all wanted to do that.
Can I overstep?
Yeah.
Just real quick and just say, there are other folks who have had their hands up for a while and maybe we could let them go. And then if you want to make a motion, I don't mean to overstep. I just sure everybody's heard.
Thanks, Jessica. Okay, so Onisha, and then I see Henry and Ron. Go ahead, Onisha.
Yeah, so it sounds like after reading the email again that there is concern about, because number one, shares or all the members will receive the information. And it sounds like there's some concern based on the way the email was written that the tri-chairs have like semi-privacy when they have their meeting, but the OAC will be discussing these, which will open us up, make us more vulnerable to like lawsuits and stuff, or maybe put our foot in our mouth and we say something that is looked at as maybe discriminatory, or I don't know, someone will take it personal. So that's
I think we might have, did we lose Onisha?
No, she's still here.
Okay.
no, what happened? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, it was cutting out. I can hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me? It just seems like to me that there's some concern that they see doing the emails as a whole because of it being a public forum, right? So why isn't there option in question number 1 or proposal number 1 for it to be tri-chairs, a subcommittee, or all OAC members? Why isn't a committee included in number 1?
Can I answer that? So I mean, you all could choose a subcommittee. However, a subcommittee doesn't have any more privacy than all OAC members. So I guess we just omitted that one. I mean, you all could choose that though, but I just want to make that distinction that the subcommittee needs to be live just like the whole council.
So is there any way to add support to the tri-chairs? Are the tri-chairs. Like they're not necessarily tri-chairs, but they can be appointed to be invited to the tri-chair meeting. Just for the purpose of going over the emails, not for any other tri-chair business.
So can I be honest that you broke up for the first part of that question and I don't want to, can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so my question is, can people be invited and appointed and invited for the email to attend the tri-chair meeting, not for any other tri-chair business, but only for the emails? Or is that not allowed?
I mean, I don't think there's any legal reason, but I think, well, there might be. I don't know. That's a good question, but I need to find out. Oh, Allison.
Yeah. So that arrangement, we'd have to talk about some of the details, but there would probably be some public meeting law issues that could pose some challenges that we need to talk through.
Okay, so we do have a motion and a second, but Amy, I think your hand is still up from before. I just want to make sure on that.
I want to rescind my motion. I know we have a second on it, but I'm going to rescind it because just from listening to everybody, I just see this going bad. And so I'm just going to step out. Sorry, I'm rescinding it. Somebody else wants to pick it up. That's up to them.
So, all right, Henry, you're next, and then Ron is after you.
Yeah, I'll try to be concise. I feel like for the sake of efficiency, it might be helpful to have the tri-chairs do the emails. I know personally I have a million other things to do during my week, and I only have this amount of time to allot to this committee. I've also talked to folks who have resigned from the committee due to the amount of time required to be a part of this committee. So maybe for the sake of efficacy and the fact that I hate emails, and I also think having a meeting about emails is probably some kind of like,
torture.
I don't know. If we could simply make this more efficient and maybe disseminate information as needed. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I agree with Henry, and I agree with Onisha. I think that we can put our faith and trust and confidence in the tri-chairs to receive the information and disseminate it. Hence, I would make a motion that the tri-chairs receive the information.
I second it.
So Amy and Ron, I still see your hands up, and I just want to check if there's anything, or if you just forgot to put your hands down.
I do have something that's really kind of weighing on me about these emails. Like, what's the point of you receiving or getting emails if you can't legally respond to them, or you can't legally represent what the people are sharing? I mean, what's the point of all this? And then I'll put my hand down.
We can't hear you, Onisha. Oh.
Onisha, I see your hand. You were breaking up, but I will let you try again. Do you want me to have Zeb go and then come back to you, Onisha?
She says give her 1 minute.
All right, so let's have Zeb go, and then Onisha can go after that. Go ahead, Zeb.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I just want to make sure that the tri-chairs are okay with that. I know they're sacrificing a lot of their time already and putting this on them. Like, are they able to take on that without a lot of support? I know Anisha put in the chat that they would need support though, and I definitely agree with that. So I kind of like to hear their thoughts on taking that on as a tri-chair. Thank you.
Sabrina, I see your hand. I'm just gonna check and see if Onisha is ready.
Can you let Sabrina go first? I don't know if my connection is strong.
Absolutely. Okay, so Sabrina, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. As a tri-chair, I would be comfortable with the lift. There's a couple other questions I think that are going to be coming down the pipeline. I myself feel comfortable with that. I don't know how future tri-chairs would feel with that. So I just wanted to let Zeb know that's where I stand.
Just gonna check you with Onisha.
Yeah, I'm hoping you guys can hear me now. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so my suggestion is to have a couple people who want to work on the emails, like a liaison. If not a subcommittee, then like a email liaison. Because I'm glad Sabrina has the capacity and the bandwidth, but with the tri-chair turnover, some other future tri-chairs may want support with the emails, especially if there's an influx in email or there's a lot of emails that are backlogged. You know what I'm saying? So I think when we make these type of decisions, we should make them based on what we would want, and also somewhere in the middle for a new tri-chair when we're no longer a tri-chair, thinking of something that they might want. So if we don't do the entire OAC, I think choosing at least 2 or 3 people from the OAC who can be email liaison people that would be invited to the tri-chair meeting just to go over and talk about emails and not other tri-chair business to help support with the workload regarding the emails.
Jessica, I see your hand.
Yeah, I just want to just call back to what Allison said, that might create public meeting issues and then we'd find ourselves in the same situation.
Okay. Well, Onisha, your hand is still up. I just want to check in and see if you had something
No,
else.
it's fine. I'm putting it down.
Okay. And I was just thinking about what Onisha was saying, and that being a tri-chair right now, I don't know the volume that we get. So it's hard to say, but I also kind of feel like even if we have the tri-chairs looking at the full emails, it would be nice to maybe still get summaries sent out to the full council that are de-identified, that could go to any email. I think that, I'm thinking about when I'm gonna not be a tri-chair, that it would still be nice to kind of just have some vague idea of what's coming into the inbox.
And Blue, can I just add one more thing? Jessica says something about it becoming into a meeting potential situation, that if those liaisons were invited to the tri-chair meeting, that it could be a legal issue. But what if those email liaisons didn't necessarily come to the tri-chair meeting? They just sent in a written summary of the emails that they read. And they could take that into consideration at the tri-chair meeting without having them present.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I have 2 council members who have to leave. So if I love this discussion, if we have to continue this discussion, just know that we will need to continue this. Well, it sounds like Henry's leaving. Yeah, we may have run out of time. Let me, is Dharma here?
I can see Dharma.
Yes, I'm here. I do need to hop up as soon as possible, so please let me know.
I think we have quorum if we keep Dharma. So if you all want to continue to have this conversation and like excuse Dharma, cool. Or if you want to vote, we should probably vote now. I think that's where we're at.
Let's just vote to give it to the tri-chairs. We don't have another choice, and we don't have time to brainstorm another choice because we don't have enough quorum.
I guess the question is, any further discussion?
It doesn't make sense to have it because we got to vote.
And we currently have a motion for the tri-chairs. Is that correct?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess Sydney, can you take a vote then?
Yep. The motion is that the tri-chairs would receive the information, which is the first motion on that slide. Amy, how do you vote?
I abstain.
Blue?
Yes.
Carlos?
This was a confusing thing, but I guess yes.
Caroline?
Yes. Thanks, Carlos.
Dharma?
Yes.
Henry left. Hubert?
Yes.
Hubert. Keisha?
Yes.
Melinda? Melinda?
Yes.
Thank you. Morgan?
Yes.
Thank you. Nicole?
I abstain.
Thank you. Onisha?
Yes.
Thank you. Ron?
Yes.
Thanks. Sabrina?
Yes.
And Zeb.
Yes.
All right, that passes with 12 yes and 2 abstentions. And Steve's present, so it's still 15.
All right, can we pull up the slide?
Jessica, I just had a question. Are the other Are the other options things that the tri-chairs can decide on now that we've decided that the tri-chairs will be receiving the information, or do we need to vote as a council?
I think that's up to you all. Oh, unless Allison says different. I think once the tri-chairs are the ones making the decisions, then the tri-chairs can continue to make those decisions. But I'm looking to Allison to give some guidance there.
Yeah, so
thank you.
yeah, so what I was going to suggest, given the timing and the number of people remaining, is that maybe if there's a decision for the tri-chairs to direct this, maybe the tri-chairs can kind of discuss what they would envision and then come back with a motion for next meeting and, you know, have that approved by the group at that point with the rest of the discussion on the next part.
Okay, so I'm just gonna call on, yep, go ahead, Sabrina, and then Onisha, you're next.
Yeah, I'm definitely comfortable with what Allison said, and I'm open to getting the information in the manner that we need to, so that way we are being considerate to the people that are emailing us, and that we're addressing concerns in close to real enough time that we can. But I'm also going to give a full trust to whoever it is that's checking the email and then delegating the information to us, that if it's pertinent and something that needs to be addressed as soon as possible, that we as tri-chairs are going to receive that. And so that's just my 2 cents. So thank you, Blue.
Thanks, Sabrina. I see Onisha's next.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. We should just save some time, because if none of us are going to be allowed to read the emails or have any input, why should we decide on the technical details of how to do the work? We're not allowed to do any of the work. We put it all on you guys, so we shouldn't have any input at this point.
I'm going to jump right back in there, Blue, really quick. I'm sorry, I was going to raise my hand and I came off mute already. I just want to say, like, us as tri-chairs really want to do the work of the council, and that we really want to build that trust and delegate the things that we think the council would want us to do things in the fashion that they want us to do things, in the timely manner they want us to do things, in an equitable, and also being equitable with that approach. So I'm fine with whatever. And if we need to come back next week, I'm also good with putting another motion on the table. So I'll just leave it at that. Thank you, Blue. And thank you so much, Onisha, for all your input.
So Jessica, is it accurate that we don't have enough council members to vote anymore?
No.
Okay. Okay. Would it be possible for us to maybe just discuss or check in and see if we need a vote to see if the full council wanted to get summary emails? I don't even know if that's something other folks would want or not, the de-identified ones. That would be my only thought about maybe a piece that we might want to come back to. I don't know if anyone has other thoughts on that. Caroline?
I think this is probably, I think what we really need to discuss is the fact that every week we don't have a quorum. Some of us faithfully get on at 1:30 and we wait 15-20 minutes to get a quorum. I know we're all busy, but I think the real issue is the fact that we can't continue to meet every week. I mean, every week puts a big dent, I think, on all of us. Many of us have returned back to in-person meetings because of the fact that our COVID numbers are now down. And I think that the hardship is the fact that we continue to meet every week. I think we need to put that on the agenda. If we want to increase attendance, I think we need to consider every other week or once per month. And I think that's kind of the issue, because we never seem to be able to get done with things when we don't have a quorum. So I think that needs to be probably part of the agenda. If every week is a hardship on too many of us, then we need to really, I think, take the majority into consideration and consider another time frame, or I don't know, every other week, once a month. I don't know. I just think that we need to bring that together to the total council and see if that could be one of the barriers as to why our attendance is going down. Thank you.
Jessica, did you have anything on that? I know that there will be a posting for the open positions very soon, which may help with our quorum issues or may not.
So I can just speak to that real quick. Yes, we have a couple folks. So, and I was going to make this announcement and all of that stuff happened and I'm really sorry that I forgot. But so, Dr. Reginald has retired. And so we have the tribal appointment. We have his appointment coming on soon. Additionally, we have an application out for 3 more council members. And I want to say that I have also heard from council members that meeting every week is a hardship for them. So I think it's both and, but that's just my opinion.
And Amy, did you have?
I think my concern with lessening the meeting is that, you know, Caroline, we have enough trouble coming to agreements with meeting once a week. And I get it that it can be a hardship for a lot of people, you know, but I guess that's the commitment that we made when we joined this committee. Maybe we need to change the time or something to accommodate for some people. But, you know, I think that meeting once a week, we barely get stuff done doing that. So my concern lessening that is great.
Thank you, Amy. And then I see Ron and then Morgan after that.
Are you calling on me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't make that super clear. Go ahead, Ron.
No, just in terms of Dr. Richardson, it says the statute says it's the director of the Alcohol and Drug Policy Commission or the director's designated staff person. And so with that retirement of Dr. Richardson, it seems that a designated staff person from the ADPC can sit in that seat until such a time that there's a replacement for Dr. Richardson.
Yep, and that's who we have lined up to join. So,
okay.
Yep.
So that position isn't open like the other. Okay, great. Morgan, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if we could reword how quorum is determined if the next time we have quorum. Like me personally, I will not be here next meeting. I have to get general anesthesia and get a medical procedure at the VA. And it's just, it sucks that that's like a heavy burden, like that I feel like personal responsibility because I'm sick and need to go to the hospital. And so if there's a way that we could rework, like all come together and vote on just that quorum be 2/3 of active appointed members instead of the total seats on the council, I think it would be equitable and easier to reach and therefore make us more efficient.
Allison.
Sure. I just wanted to respond to that. The amount for quorum is set by statute. And so the council wouldn't be able to vote to change that. It would require a statutory change.
I remember us voting on what quorum should be 2 years ago, right? What do you mean it's set by? I don't understand that.
That was before Senate Bill 755.
Got it. Okay.
Because the Senate Bill 755 says a quorum consists of 2/3 of the members of the council, rounded up to the next odd number of members.
Okay.
But that doesn't say the seats either. It says members. I guess that's where I always thought it meant whoever's actively on the council, but this just means seats, including vacant ones.
I mean, I read that as up for interpretation. Exactly the text and letter of that statute right there as pasted can we not interpret that as appointed members?
That's a DOJ question.
Yeah, hi, it's Shannon O'Fallon from DOJ. I think this is something that does involve legal advice, so we probably shouldn't discuss it in this open meeting, but maybe we can take it up in an executive session soon.
I think that would be helpful for a lot of us to do that. Okay, so Jessica, are there other OHA updates that we have? No. Okay, and I know Ron had asked to get an update on the clearinghouse, so is that something that we can put on the next agenda?
Yeah, I do not have an update on that. I can ask.
Okay, I just that'd be great if we could just maybe put it on the list of things to try to bring to the full council. Does anybody have anything else for today? I know, just want to thank everybody because I know this was super confusing, like pretty much all of it for me. And so like if you're still here, thank you. Because that was a lot. And I think that we learned that we really need to be a lot more clear with maybe some slides when we have technical errors on grants. So it's a little bit more clear to the council what's happening. Sabrina, I do see your hand.
Yes, so I just wanted to make sure, I know that we kind of jumped from what Carolyn was talking about right into the opening of the seats, and that hopefully we'll get it filled, and hopefully that will fix the problem with the quorum and stuff to that magnitude. And then we kind of got a little bit farther down the track. I just wanted to make sure that this can be on our agenda for the tri-chair meeting, so that way everybody's concerns are being addressed, and then we can get back to them as soon as possible.
And then can I just ask to you want to have a deeper discussion around how much time people can really commit to the council and whether or not this is a good time?
Yeah, well, because Carolyn asked if we could meet every other week, and so instead of so I would like to address that at our next tri-chair meeting, so that way Carolyn knows that we are going to be looking forward to addressing that soon. And then what Ron said and what Morgan said, and I just wanted to put that out there so that way whoever's taking the notes from OHA could have that ready for us when we go to our next tri-chair meeting. Does that make sense?
Yes, and
okay.
Hopefully somebody is taking those notes. I can otherwise try to remember, but I can't promise. Okay, are we good? Did I leave anything else kind of unfinished today? Jessica, do you have anything else? No. Okay. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming today, and we will see you next week and hopefully have some more